kindergarten, first grade class size, I worked with that age group, really should be kept at about 15, maybe 18 at the most. But if you're not proposing to have an aide in each of those classes, that you have more than 18 kids, their progress is going to be poor and detrimental, and that will not set a good footprint for them for the future. And that's just from someone who works with that age group. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, last we have Allison Seidel.
Hi, good evening. My name is Allison Seidel. I'm a resident of New Milford, and I'm also a clinical psychologist in Brookfield. And I am here to talk about the ESS program and why I think that there's a huge need for a program like this in New Milford. Frankly, there's a huge need for it in every community, but we are one of the only ones in the area to have something like this. I evaluate and treat many children and adolescents who have significant mental health needs. And I can tell you that every time there's a student from New Milford, I feel a little bit of a sense of relief saying, okay, well, there is a program that could potentially help you transition back to school. I've worked with kids who have school refusal, as you've heard from other parents, who've been hospitalized, who are trying to avoid a psychiatric hospitalization. And I think that focus on numbers and financial statistics in a discussion like this is really missing the big picture and missing, as you've heard from other families, the unbelievable impact that having clinicians in the building can have on the life of the student and every other life that is touched by their mental health struggles. So this is going to affect the nurses, this is going to affect the administrators, they're not going to be pulled so often. Just getting, as you've heard, some kids in the building can be really difficult, and once a child starts to refuse to go to school, it's extremely difficult to get them back in. And if you think that the difference is going to be made up by local clinicians, you may want to take a look at what's available in the community, because I can tell you that the majority of therapists don't see children. The majority of therapists who do see children are full. Many of them don't accept Husky. And if you're looking for a child or adolescent psychiatrist, you're going to be waiting a really long time. And if you have Husky, you may be out of luck. So we need to be looking at adding more mental health supports to our schools, not taking them away. If we're looking at $300,000 and you're saying there's only 18 kids being affected, for 3 of those kids to need outplacement at a private special education school, that's going to cost us $75,000 to $80,000 a year. So we only need 3 of those students who are currently in ESS to not be able to make it back into the education program here, need to be outplaced in order for that money to evaporate and be somewhere else. Not to mention the fact that there are a lot of legal costs associated with outplacement. It's not just about the tuition and the expense of the school. So thank you for the time.
Thank you. Is anyone else like to participate? Okay, we will close public participation and move on to the PTO report.
Good evening. The K through 8 PTOs are getting ready to open up the jungle. Book fairs, that is. The book fairs will be open throughout parent-teacher conferences. The K through 5 schools will be hosting family fun events in conjunction with their book fairs. The K through 5 schools are also running readathons through the end of this month into the 1st of March to help foster a love of reading. Hill and Plain PTO hosted a Candyland dance, and all of the kiddos had a great time. NES PTO hosted author Jana Dillon, who introduced the kids to Lucky O Leprechaun and spoke to them about the process of writing books. The Sarah Noble PTO has been very busy helping the third grade teachers with organizing phonics curriculum flashcards. Scotticoke PTO held a flowergram sales fundraiser this month for Valentine's Day. And the ever-popular Krispy Kreme Donuts fundraiser is back. You can still order for 3 more days. The high school PTO helped the student council with refreshments for the first ever winter dance. And they also sold midterm de-stress bags for the students to help them get through the midterm angst. Thank you.
Thank you. Student representatives.
All right, so to start it off, we have had some great sports accomplishments lately. First off, in gymnastics, we have some students that excelled, being Haley Best, who is the runner-up for all around, and won first place in 2 out of the 4 events that happened. She won in bars and floor. Riley Herring became the second team all-conference, so as well as Lexi Donnelly. And the gymnastics team at the high school won the SWCs and became co-championships with with Pomperog. And in wrestling, they won the SWC championships. Evan Leonard at 106 pounds became the state champion, with Khalil Borgelli at 138 pounds become their weight class state championship, and Richie Morel at 170 pounds became a state champion.
So tomorrow, February 26th, the high school's having its first Wingman Activity Day. So earlier in the year, the high school brought a new program, which is called Wingman. It's all about inspiring change and making our school a better school. So we have the students who were trained and went through the whole Wingman leader process. They're going to be meeting in small groups with everyone in the high school is going to be involved. And we're going to just kind of make our atmosphere better. We're going to, have this sense of inclusiveness and make our good school an even better school.
And furthering on Thursday the 27th, there is a concert for chorus and jazz in the theater.
And then earlier this month, we had the first annual Winter Formal, which was the first Winter Formal that we've had in 15 years. And it was a massive success. So many people were there. It was a great night. Portions of the proceeds were donated to Camilla's Cupboard, so got a lot of money there too.
The annual spring sports information meeting is coming up, and that's for students and their parents who are interested in participating to come and see what's going on and what will be happening, and that's Wednesday, March 4th.
And then lastly, this is what I'm most excited for, but this year's all-school musical is The Addams Family. You can buy tickets now. They're online, and you can buy them at the high school as well. Show dates are last 2 weekends in March, so hopefully you guys will be there. I'm in it, so maybe that will inspire something.
And that's it.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, approval of minutes. I need a motion to approve the following Board of Education meeting minutes: budget hearing and adoption minutes, January 21st, 22nd, 28th, and 29th, 2020.
Second. Also made the motion?
Olga and Eileen.
Thank you. Eileen, second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Thank you. I need a motion to approve the following Board of Education meeting minutes, special meeting minutes, February 4th, 2020.
So moved.
Ryan?
Did you second, Tammy?
Yes, I did. And Tammy.
Any discussion? All in favor? I need a motion to approve the special meeting minutes from February 11th, 2020.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Okay, Superintendent's report.
Thank you. Real quickly, before we move to the superintendent's report, I wanted Laura, Ms. Olson, to share the tomorrow night's Parent as Partners event that's happening, just so you're aware of it. Okay.
We have Dr. Anna Allman coming from CCSN. She's met with us before. She's actually going to talk about anxiety. and it's a Parents as Partners, sharing not only information about it, but also how do families cope? What are some resources? What are some tools and strategies that you can work with, all the way from kindergarten all the way up to 21-year-old students who are exhibiting a lot of anxiety. So we're very excited in terms of already the feedback. We have over 60 people registered, so more than likely we'll have close to that, maybe a little bit more. And we have childcare, I think that's at about 20. So getting parents out, but with the offer of childcare also helps. So that's our second of three programs this year. So I'll give you feedback later.
Thank you, Laura. And then tonight for my superintendent's report, I invited Superintendent Megan Bennett from Region 12, and she brought with her Juliana, a student at the Agri-Science School. She's going to share, and that's what this flag is here. They brought the board a gift. So, Ms. Bennett, we're really excited to have you here to share a little bit about what's going on with Juliana at the Agri-Science School. Are we ready?
Oh, you guys are wonderful. Thank you. I'm feeling excited over here. I was going to say, let's see whose technology is better. No. Well, while this is starting out, my name is Megan Bennett. I'm the superintendent in Region 12, and we are very excited about our Agri-Science Academy that started this year at Chippewa Valley School. And one of the things that we are very excited about in our fledgling year is the fact that New Milford trusted us to educate their children in agri-science. And so this is really our way to come out and say thank you for believing in us. Thank you for believing in our vision. Thank you for partnering with us so we can give a dynamic education. We know where you have brought the children to, and it is our goal to make certain that we bring them to graduation and that they are still considered and still feel very much part of New Milford schools. So that is very important to us. So we just want to show you a little bit about our progress, and then I'm going to have Juliana do a quick conversation to just tell you what her experience is like, and so that way you know too. She is a resident of New Milford. She is absolutely making you proud in the Chippewa hallways. So, want to introduce you to Juliana Fontanella. These are Juliana's classmates right now. So we have 44 students in our first cohort. Juliana is also one of our FFA executive officers. So she gets, as you can tell, even when they're presenting, they have to be in their blue darbs. So it's their FFA official dress, and making certain that, again, we're teaching presentation skills, but again, a well-rounded education. So within Chippewa schools, they have small class sizes. We have a supportive staff and community. We have gorgeous facilities, state-of-the-art equipment, and authentic learning experiences. And this is where we want you to know, again, that these are the opportunities we're giving to your students. We recently had the birth of a lamb, and when we tell all of the students, they are pioneers in this adventure with us. So they have helped us pick out which animals we have. I couldn't have told you what a sugar glider was before this year. But now to know, we had just received 4 sheep. Turns out 3 of them were pregnant. Surprise! So our students immediately got to building in the barns. We learn different things, such as if we don't separate the sheep and the baby attaches to the wrong ewe, then the mothers will both reject the animal. And so it's very important that these are the lessons our students are learning to make certain that they are caring for the animals around us. That wouldn't have been my first choice, but that is pepper. Salt is white, so we do have small animals as well. That is Teddy. We also have plant science. It is not just about gardening, but it is actually learning about invasive species. What is the pH? They're doing DNA splicing with strawberries. So it's not just looking at it as old-fashioned farming. This is really elevating where we're moving to. Additionally, students will be operating drones that we have in order to scan the fields. We look for the chemical levels within the soils, so we can make some of those analysis where they never leave the classroom in doing that. So we also have our welding shop, so we have power structures. Oh, hang on, I have to cut the crown jewel. We have our indoor riding ring and stables. So these were just completed 2 weeks ago. Our horses, we have both an indoor and outdoor riding ring. So we are very much equestrian driven. But as you can tell, it's not going to be painful to be a horse at Chippewa. We have a greenhouse and floral shop, everything again state of the art. If you can tell, we are looking at vertical farming. We recognize that a lot of what we're doing is teaching sustainability. Gone are the days where we can look at horizontally how we're using the land. We have to now start going vertically. We're also working on things with zero gravity. That's our next step. So we learn how planting may happen in space. So again, we're looking at what is realistic, what is optimistic, and how we're moving our children forward. We have a state-of-the-art food science lab, and that's actually one of our students making mozzarella. They have to learn about fermentation. They have to learn about the chemicals that happen within the foods. So it really is, I wish it was just about baking. I'd be much better, but it is really understanding the chemicals that are happening within the foods, how it responds to your body. Everything we do is working towards farm to table. We are organic. We are making certain that we are, again, health conscious. Talked about the power structures and mechanic shop. As you notice, we obviously have not brought in a lot of cars yet because that is a really clean shop. Again, those are our officers for the FFA. And so far, we're doing all right. So we thank you again for the support, but I want to actually turn it over to Juliana so she can herself thank you and tell you about her experience.
I'm not actually quite sure what to say, so I'll just tell you about my experience at Chippewa. So currently in agri-science, I've done plant science and food science, and I'm currently in animal science. And next quarter, I'll be taking power structure and technical. So I'll get to go through all four, and then I'll get to decide which pathway I want to focus on for my next 3 years. And I'm probably going to go with food so far. So my favorite part of the plant science unit that we did was we got to go outside and we got to find invasive species, mainly bittersweet and Milo minute and autumn olive, and we got to learn why they were dangerous to Chippewa. And I think Ms. Travado, who is our plant science teacher, is growing in the greenhouse now native plants to replace those. So we get to learn about the environment, but also like help it. So we get to see how our actions make a difference. And in the food science unit, my favorite part was making our own food, sort of like in Chopped. We were given a bunch of ingredients like chicken and like tortillas, so we went with chicken tortillas. We were not very creative, but we learned to work together. And we also got to use the state-of-the-art equipment, like we learned how to safely use a walk-in fridge so you don't get trapped inside. And we learned how to use the new dishwasher, which was important so we didn't get stuck washing dishes. And for animals, we're learning how to clean up after them because they create a lot of mess. We have, I think, 3 rabbits, 2 rats. We have a turtle. I think our last one died, sadly. We have 4 guinea pigs, 2 lizards, and we're probably going to get a snake. And we also have an alpaca and 4 sheep right now. So we have a lot of animals. And I haven't taken power and structure technical yet, so I'm not quite sure what's going to happen. But I learned that from my other classmates that we might be able to drive a tractor and learn how to weld. So that'll be very hands-on and interesting.
You know, I appreciate Ms. Bennett and Juliana coming because our mission is to make sure we provide every student the opportunity to excel and achieve and be, you know, who they want to be and where they want to be in our whole profile of the graduates. So we appreciate you taking the time to come and wait all this time to get up and share about your experience. But we do thank you, and we thank you for the gifts. Thank you for being here. Good job.
Thank you.
No, I'm good.
Board chair report. So just a couple things. I just want to let you know that Dr. Parker and I will be attending a school foundation conference in March. I also wanted to let you know that we are starting an ad hoc committee for communication. So if you're interested in joining that, let me know. And then the other thing I wanted to point out, and I'm trying to locate it on the table, there's a communications folder. So any emails that come into the board email address that are not urgent, that are not, you know, anything, if it's something urgent, I'll send it on to you. But if it's If it's something not time sensitive, I guess is what I should say, not urgent. If it's not time sensitive, it'll be in that folder. So just be sure to check that every month because there will be stuff in that if it's something that's come in. All right. I need a motion to approve Exhibit A, personnel, certified, non-certified appointments, resignation, and leaves of absences as of February 25th, 2020.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Henry?
Ms. Bottomley, can you please tell the board how many positions we currently are looking for and where we kind of are in the search process?
Open positions, is that what we're looking for?
I'm assuming you're talking about the vacancies that we have.
We have a first grade vacancy at Hill and Plain School that's just recent, and we are filling that with a certified long-term sub in there. We have two math teachers at the high school, and the department chair math teacher position, so that's 3. We spoke prior to this about how Mr. Shagru was covering that with some classes going to virtual school, some classes are being picked up by other math teachers. It is posted, those vacancies are posted, there are some applications, he is taking a look at that. Mr. Corpo, myself, probably Mrs. Olson, Mr. Shagru, another elementary principal will be going up to UConn's job fair in April. So we are looking to see there for those shortage area positions to see, we have an opportunity to see graduates right there, and we'll set up some preliminary interviews to see if we can then bring them in to the district the following week, kind of thing, to try to get a jump on some of those difficult to fill positions.
So right now, those 3 math positions, you don't really have anyone in mind yet? Or you just haven't, it
We have
hasn't closed?
applications, Mr. Shagru's looking through them, but I have no recommendations.
Okay.
And we have a special education vacancy at Sarah Noble, and Mrs. Bilko has applications there and is going through that process. That's what we have right now for the certified, and I believe we have a couple of para vacancies, but I just saw a candidate today, so we'll probably be bringing that name to you next month.
For para.
And I believe there's another recommendation coming through for another para.
Now, what about the ELA teacher at SMS?
Currently, that is being filled by a certified retired teacher, and.
A long-term sub?
Yes, and that's what we have in there for right now. We had a few applications, but we're not moving forward with bringing someone in at this time.
But you're still looking to fill that position if you can
We
by
will
the end
have,
of the year?
at some point, we will have to, I just don't know, we talked before about consistency for students and trying to find the perfect fit. So we, right now, the long-term sub is in there working with those classes, getting some support through team members and other ELA teachers. That seems to be fine for right now, and we more than likely will leave it like that.
Well, I asked last time
you
about
did.
doing that and was told that wasn't a possibility, so I'm
Well,
just.
at that point, when you asked that, that was before the cut was made at the last hearing of the English teacher at the high school. And if that cut stays, that cut has to be the least senior person, and that would be the new person we'd be bringing in for the ELA class, which probably is also not a very good move to make at that point. If you bring someone in who's left another district, only to find out a month later, they're gonna get a notice saying that they don't have a job. So right now, things are working fine with all the supports that we have in place, so I believe that's what we're gonna do and keep it there.
Okay, and just one question about the first grade teacher at HPS. You have a long-term sub. Is there, do you plan on hiring somebody?
We have a request, an internal request for a teacher to transfer there, so that will happen for the beginning of next year. So right now, we'll finish out with the certified teacher
For the rest of the
sub
year.
for the rest of the year. the teacher who's requested the transfer, rather than disrupting that classroom, will wait and take that transfer at the beginning of next year, and then obviously we'll have to start, the dominoes will fall, and we'll have to replace whoever we moved wherever.
Okay, all right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? All in favor? Everyone? I need a motion to approve monthly reports, budget position dated January 31st, 2020, purchase resolution D 731, and request for budget transfers.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
The minutes reflect the history of the operations meeting. I don't know if there's any board members who weren't at operations who have questions on that. We basically went through where we are. There was some other information sent to board members, the entire board, from questions that came up at operations. Those have been answered by email, where we were in comparison to last year, and a snapshot, and so thank you for sending that over.
Mr. Bear?
Thank you.
Let there be light.
On the purchase resolution, how did we lose an engine on that F-350? Just, did we beat it to death?
That's pretty accurate. There was a crack in the engine block. It's a 2008. It's used for plowing and salt spreading. Pretty hard.
How long was it out of service to get a new engine?
Quite a while. We just got it back earlier this week, late last week.
Did we know that when we went through budget discussions?
Do we know what?
There's one in there was a request in
There was a
capital.
request in capital, but
To
as you,
replace it.
this board put capital on hold.
Right. Thank you.
Any other discussion? All in favor? Thank you. I need a motion to accept gifts and donations, PTO Exhibit B, in the amount of $10,400.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
Thank you.
All in favor? Everyone? I need a motion to approve the Public Educational and Governmental Programming and Educational Technology Investment Account grant in the amount of $149,611.22.
So moved.
Second.
Who was, Tammy? And then Wendy.
It was Wendy.
Any discussion?
How do we pronounce that acronym?
I wasn't even gonna try.
Okay, we'll let it go.
You took my comment there. My all-time favorite in acronym at this point.
Yeah. First and last name.
Any other discussion? All in favor? Everyone? I need a motion to approve new course, Computer Science SMS.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
Since that was in my committee, in our committee, sorry.
Appreciate that.
We're starting to get these computer classes, and they're a bit more advanced. And given where we're going in society, such as, I'm out of lack of words because I don't do it well. Data input, coding. There we go. I got it. So at a younger age, we're getting to our students involved in things such as coding, and I've heard around other school districts that they're actually getting children into coding in elementary school. I can't explain what coding is. As we know, have challenges with computers as it is. So it's good to see, and it's it's advancing the complexities of our education system. With that, I'd love to speak on the next one real quickly. If we're moving on after we vote.
We have to vote.
We have to vote.
Any other discussion? All in favor? Okay, thank you. I need a motion to approve the new program, Coaching Boys into Men, Coaching Girls to Leaders.
So moved.
Cynthia? Second? Olga?
Who was the second, please?
Olga.
Thank you.
Any discussion? Mr. Fayette?
And I'll allow Alicia to fill in where I missed. This is a fascinating program wherein coaches at the high school will lead players through some brief weekly activities to address things like personal responsibility, respectful behavior, relationship abuse. We're starting, if we approve it tonight, with the baseball team, which starts practice next month, I believe.
Yes.
And what I like about this is that it incorporates, as I've always said, that athletics is part of the overall education process. It's an important part of it, and this adds in teaching these young men how to be more responsible, how to appreciate their position in life, and how to see and understand consequences of conduct. There's also a Girls Into Leaders. Have they gotten back to us on that?
Yes, they did actually.
And was, now, so for some reason we don't know, these Boys Into Men is about a 15-minute program.
Yes.
Each
15
session.
minutes, 12
Somehow, Girls Into Leaders was almost 30 minutes, and everybody, and our counterparts at the Connecticut Coalition Against Domestic Violence reworked it to get it down where, you know, they have a lot to do between practice and everything else and developing this into the program. They were working on it, and Alicia
She got it,
tells me.
it's complete.
Right.
So
and
she
that
emailed
is-
it to me this afternoon at 3:30, wished me well. They've condensed it down to the same number of lessons, same topics, but written from the perspective of for girls as leaders. So same concept. One of the things that Mr. Fela did not mention that's important for you to know if you were not at the subcommittee meeting is that we're doing this in partnership with the youth agency who will become our hub for training. I want to thank Jason O'Connor for his partnership. He's been a tremendous asset to work with over the course of this year on so many different opportunities that we've really worked on together jointly as agencies who share youth in New Milford. But these two programs in particular, coaching girls to leaders will be a part of the softball programming for two of the coaches, and the Boys to Men will be part of the baseball team's work, two coaches with the boys as part of a pilot year. And then every year moving forward, we'll be able to sustain a look at the data that's coming out of the program, the growth that students are having within the program, looking at how we're going to tweak some of our training. We'll do training in conjunction with this program with DCF and creating supports within the school when things come up on the field that coaches may not have the toolkit to work with right then and there. And then Linda Blosey has told us that she will work in partnership with our coaches and with Mr. Lipinski and the youth agency to continue to support the coaches in their roles as we partner to roll this out. So it's a really nice extension of all the social emotional learning that we're doing across district, taking it onto the field with a slightly different lens of, you know, building confidence in yourself and creating boundaries and relationships, things that you're never really taught anywhere else unless you're taught that by your family unit. So we're excited at the thought of being able to do this, and we're asking for the board's express permission to move forward with both of these programs this year right away in the next season and start the training in a few weeks.
Ready?
Fantastic. It was a great subcommittee meeting. All that were there, quite informative and really exciting. So thank you. So both components of this, we're going to be doing both the boys and the girls, correct?
Yes,
Which
yes.
is really exciting. I know we left off with that was a little, so I just want to be clear on that.
Yes.
I'd also ask on some of these initiatives that we're taking on, this particular program, Wingman, that information comes back to the board, that we can review how we're doing, monitor it, and really share with the board and the community how effective or just the overall feedback and how it's going. So I'll be looking forward
Sure.
to that. So it's great.
Absolutely.
Any other questions or comments? All in favor? Everyone, thank you. I need a motion to approve the New Milford Barn Quilt Trail Project for the Red Barn on New Milford High School property.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Wendy motion, Cynthia second.
I had an opportunity to attend the town council meeting yesterday, basically because I wanted to hear the building report for the high school, but I was able to hear the presentation on the barn quilt, and I have to tell you, it's just really lovely, and the idea is to just make the New Milford a actual destination stop, and people are actually going on this trail and making, a point to come into our town to look at these barns and to look at these quilts on the barns and to eat at our restaurants and to participate in, the economic growth of our town. So if anybody has an opportunity to kind of learn about that, I think it's really great. And I'm delighted to see that one of our buildings is now going to contain one of those quilts, because they really are lovely. And it really is something that's very trademark of New Milford to have so many of these beautiful old barns throughout the town. So I was really happy to see this on the agenda.
Any other discussion? And I don't know if they mentioned it last night, but they have also talked about, potentially partnering with our students and having our students actually do some of the work. So that's kind of exciting as well. Any other discussion? All in favor? Thank you. Okay, items of information, field trip report. Any discussion? Textbook preview. Town of New Milford audit report dated June 30th, 2019.
Oh, I thought there was, you slid past textbook.
Oh, want to go back? All right.
Did you return your book? Yes, and I want it back because I didn't finish it. I thought I briefly saw something, I can't find it, on which course and what book.
So this one is Understanding the Invisible Art of Comics. Read it cover to cover. It's very interesting. It's actually written like a graphic novel, so it helps students to understand how to create a graphic novel by looking at it, like panning through the different sections to understand how to write it. And we have 3 courses where this text would be utilized: literature and media, advanced creative writing, but we think we're also going to integrate it in English 1, 2, and 3, because there's a study of graphic novels there too, which stems from the middle school pathway, because we have a unit on graphic novels at the middle school level.
Is that the one we're going to bring up next meeting? Wasn't there a storybook writing or something?
This is not for that, no.
Okay.
You've already approved the courses that this goes
That I
along with.
have.
Yes, because we have to approve curriculum first before I'll let them bring forward a textbook adoption, yes.
Any questions? Okay, did you have something about audit?
Oh, audit. Well, this was on the operations agenda, just to bring the board quickly up to speed. Basically, our audit report was a good one, and I think that needs to be noted along with the town. That's obviously extremely important in municipalities. That's how we are able to work through all of our budgets and all of our expenditures. So it was a good audit report. There was some concerns on some of the procedures. Quite frankly, I raised those concerns and about how we were going to address some of the recommendations, and I believe that we will eventually go back to the town council and the Board of Finance to close out the $200,000 expenditure that was used from one year to the next. So I'm going to be very transparent about that we'll be making a trip back to town council and Board of Finance. I respectfully noted, and I will do that again at each said meeting, that that is not a supplemental appropriation in the sense that the board was intentionally short in their budget, but it's more of a revenue transfer, that the terminology supplemental appropriation was used. The actual motion at the town council on June 24th stated that it was a revenue stream adjustment, but the procedure is considered a supplemental appropriation. Is that fair to say?
Yep, from an accounting standpoint, yes, but it's not in the vein of a supplemental appropriation as if we underspent or overspent, as you mentioned.
Thank you. So we'll go back and we'll close it out, and we'll make sure that whatever is requested of us, we will do. I mentioned at operations that the board would follow up with the town finance director, which we did, and we have closed out those instructions, and we'll bring it back and close it out.
Any other questions? Okay, I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All in favor?
Brian, were you the second on that? Thank you.